She framed me for a crime I didn't commit, so I turned her world upside down. Me, the guy who should have seen it coming, but didn't. My name is Ryan Blake. I'm 34 years old, and if you'd told me a year ago that my ex-fiancée would try to destroy my life, and that I'd end up destroying hers instead, I would have laughed in your face. But sometimes, reality is stranger than fiction. Let me tell you exactly how I got revenge on the woman I was supposed to marry. Her name? Vanessa. She was the kind of woman who made strangers stop mid-conversation when she walked in. Graceful, magnetic, too good to be real, and maybe that should have been the first red flag. We met at a charity gala downtown. I was there through work, cybersecurity for a finance firm, trying to network and look the part in a rental tux that fit like cardboard. Vanessa was running the event, confident, in control, radiating charm as she moved through the crowd like she owned the place. She walked up to me, handed me a glass of red wine, and made a joke about my crooked bow tie. 5 minutes in, and I was already hooked. By the end of the month, we were inseparable. The next year flew by. We moved in together, shared morning routines. She introduced me to yoga, oat milk, and the concept of detox Sundays. I introduced her to coding memes and late-night anime marathons. We balanced each other out, at least I thought we did. Vanessa worked in PR at a rising startup. Flashy, modern, full of disruptive thinkers and beanbag chairs, her CEO, Ethan, was the kind of guy who called every woman darling and acted like he invented the internet. I didn't like him, but Vanessa insisted he was harmless. Just a big talker, she'd say. I trusted her. Mistake number 1. Things shifted about a year in. She got distant, quiet. Her phone, once left carelessly on the couch, was suddenly always face down. Password changed. She took calls in the hallway, said it was high-level PR work. NDA stuff, she'd whisper, flashing that smile that used to melt me, but now it made me feel cold. Then came the criticism. Not outright insults. Vanessa was too polished for that. Just tiny needling remarks. You still wear that hoodie? You never finish your coffee? Why do your friends act like teenagers? Death by 1,000 paper cuts. I convinced myself it was the stress. Her job, the wedding planning, maybe even my job. I started walking on eggshells, doubting myself, telling myself I was overreacting. Mistake number 2. Then came the cologne. She started coming home late, always with an excuse. Networking dinners, team strategy sessions, last-minute launches. But I don't wear cologne, and someone else did. A rich, spicy scent that clung to her clothes long after she passed by. I confronted her once. She flipped it on me in seconds. "You're paranoid," she said, tears brimming. "Is this how little you trust me?" I backed off, hugged her, apologized. I was a fool. One morning, 6:30 a.m., pounding on the door. Police, a warrant, cold voices reading me my rights. I barely registered what they were saying. Embezzlement, wire fraud, theft of confidential client data. They handcuffed me, took my laptop, my phone, my work ID. I spent the next 48 hours in a gray, stinking cell with a busted toilet and a flickering light. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Vanessa's face. Calm, almost prepared. When I made bail, everything was ruined. My company suspended me. My name was in the news. Emails from colleagues stopped. My own mother didn't know what to say. I stumbled home, hoping for comfort, hoping Vanessa would be waiting, that she'd say it was all a mistake, and we'd fix it. Instead, she was packing. "I'm sorry," she whispered, not even looking at me. "This is too much." Too much? I was the one being set up. My life was falling apart. I needed her, and she walked away. That was the moment I knew. It wasn't just abandonment, it was betrayal. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just stood there, watching her close the door behind her. And in that silence, something snapped. That's when I called Amir. Amir and I went way back. College roommates, computer science majors, both of us obsessed with cybersecurity. He'd gone off-grid after school, working freelance as a white-hat hacker. Ethical, smart, dangerous if crossed. He picked up after 2 rings. "I need you," I said. He didn't ask questions. "I'm in." Amir moved into my place the next day. We cleared out the guest room and turned it into a command center. Monitors, cables, antennas, a digital war room. We started from scratch, dug through my laptop, found a remote access Trojan, RAT, hidden behind a fake system update. It had been installed the night Vanessa made me homemade chicken soup while I was down with the flu. I never left my computer unlocked. But that night, I remember her saying, "Don't worry, I'll turn it off for you." She even kissed my forehead like it was a movie scene. She'd logged into my work accounts, downloaded client files, faked transfer requests. It all led back to me. But Amir found more. An encrypted cloud folder linked to an email that traced back to an old number Vanessa used in college. Inside, screenshots of my credentials, company vulnerabilities, draft emails between Vanessa and Ethan. That smug bastard. They'd been planning it for months. Ethan needed leverage to boost his startup's valuation before selling to a private firm. Vanessa provided the access through me. They faked a whistleblower leak, made it look like I'd sold client data to a competitor. In reality, Ethan was selling stolen assets to the buyers behind the scenes. And me? I was the fall guy, the scapegoat. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. We made a plan. We needed proof. Real proof. Not just speculation, not just suspicions, something that would hold up in court and burn their perfect little empire to the ground. Amir got to work cloning Vanessa's phone. It wasn't easy. She'd upgraded to the latest iPhone with encryption that made even seasoned hackers pause. But Amir wasn't just seasoned. He was surgical. He built a phishing link, something that looked like a security update from her office. We waited for her to open it. One afternoon, she connected to the cafe Wi-Fi near her yoga studio, clicked without thinking, and just like that, we were in. Her messages painted the full picture. Photos of her and Ethan at fancy restaurants. Him brushing her hair from her face, her smirking in red lipstick she never wore around me. Conversations with phrases like, "Once it's done, he's out of the way." "The investors won't care. They'll never trace it." "He still thinks I love him. God, it's pathetic." That last one. That one broke something in me. But it also lit a fire. We built a timeline. Amir created charts, call logs, data trails, every file download, every strange Wi-Fi access. Every time I blamed myself for being paranoid was now backed by hard evidence. And then we found the voice memos. They were the final nail. Vanessa and Ethan recorded themselves planning their next move, laughing about how easy it had been. Vanessa's voice crystal clear. "Honestly, I don't even feel bad. He's boring, predictable. He'll either crawl into a hole or get locked up. Either way, we win." I listened to that one at least 10 times. Each time I felt less like a victim and more like a man sharpening a blade. That's when Amir pitched the idea, bait the trap. We needed them to incriminate themselves in real time, not just in texts or voicemails, something bigger, something live. So we created Farid al-Bashir. Farid was a venture capitalist from Dubai, interested in innovative, unregulated tech. A man with bottomless pockets and a hunger for risk. Amir built the persona from scratch. LinkedIn profiles, interviews on fake blogs, news clippings, even a video interview deep-faked with AI. Slick, mysterious, and incredibly tempting to someone like Ethan. We let it leak, strategically, into Vanessa's world. A shared contact, a cryptic email, a phone number that always went to voicemail, but with a tantalizing accent. It took 2 weeks. Then came the message. Vanessa reached out, asking if Farid would be open to a private conversation regarding exclusive intellectual property. They thought they had a whale, We gave them the whole ocean. We set up the meeting in a penthouse suite downtown. Amir disguised his voice, posed as Fareed's assistant, and scheduled the pitch under the guise of a discreet acquisition. Vanessa arrived first, red dress, slicked hair, confidence like armor. Ethan followed 15 minutes later, oozing entitlement, hidden mics, cameras, surveillance from 2 adjacent rooms. They didn't hold back. They presented stolen files from my old firm, referred to me as the Patsy, and even joked about how clueless I had been. Ethan laughed. He actually cried when she broke up with him, like a lost puppy. Pathetic. Vanessa responded, he was never going to be more than a step on the ladder. That was enough. We ended the meeting early. Fareed had to fly back to Dubai, we said. What they didn't know was that every word had already been transmitted, live, to a legal team, 2 journalists, and 1 very motivated prosecutor. Within 48 hours, Ethan's startup was raided. SEC investigation, investor lawsuits, NDA breaches. The whole tower came crashing down. Vanessa was arrested while picking up coffee. Her expression when she saw me waiting outside the courthouse? Priceless. Confusion, rage, and finally, fear. But I wasn't done. The media got wind of it fast. It started with one tech blog publishing a headline, "Whistleblower or Scapegoat," inside the explosive fraud case shaking a billion-dollar startup. They didn't name names. But the story spread like wildfire, and then the podcast episode dropped. I'd recorded it 2 weeks earlier, just my voice distorted slightly, telling my story without names, without revenge, yet. Just the truth. It went viral overnight. The comments flooded in. This sounds like something out of a movie. I think I know who he's talking about. If this is real, that woman deserves jail. People were angry. They were invested. They wanted justice. I wasn't just some guy who got framed anymore. I was a symbol. The internet loves an underdog. And I had receipts. I went public 2 days later. Real name, face, timeline, screenshots, voicemails. Framed by Vanessa trended for a week. Reporters swarmed the courthouse on the day of her bail hearing. She wore sunglasses and silence. Ethan didn't show. He was already in a private negotiation, trying to save himself. When Vanessa saw the cameras, she did what she always did. She performed. "I'm being set up," she told the press. "None of this is true. I loved him." But the mask cracked when a journalist shouted back, "Is that why you called him pathetic in a voice memo?" Vanessa's jaw twitched. Game over. Ethan flipped within a week. He offered a full confession in exchange for a lighter sentence, named Vanessa as the architect, claimed she manipulated him, played the fool. It didn't save him, but it buried her. She was charged with conspiracy to commit corporate fraud, tampering with digital evidence, unauthorized access to protected systems, financial espionage, obstruction of justice. Each one was a nail in the coffin. Vanessa pled not guilty. Her defense team tried to paint her as a misunderstood executive, misled by a powerful CEO. But the evidence was overwhelming. Voice memos, fake accounts, cloned hard drives. The trial lasted 6 weeks. I testified on the second day. Standing in court, looking her in the eyes, I expected to feel rage, bitterness, maybe even pity. But I felt nothing. She wasn't the woman I loved. She never was. When the verdict came, I wasn't in the courtroom. I was outside, sitting on a park bench with Amir, drinking coffee and watching kids chase pigeons. My phone buzzed. Guilty. Sentenced to 8 years without parole. 8 years. People said I should celebrate, throw a party, toast to justice. But I didn't. Because getting even didn't make me whole. It just made me free. What happened after that? Life. Real life. My old firm offered me my job back. A fat bonus. Public apology. I declined. I was done working for companies that could turn on you with a single press release. Instead, I started consulting, teaching small businesses how to protect themselves, helping whistleblowers, guiding ethical hackers, writing. That podcast? Still trending. I even did a TED Talk. How I Got Framed and Fought Back. It hit 1 million views in a month. Amir and I launched a cybersecurity mentorship program. We trained students from underserved communities, gave them laptops, built a pipeline, turned victims into warriors. Sometimes I still Google her name. She's inmate number 45,132 now. No makeup, no filters, no exit plan. Sometimes she writes. Letters I never open, sometimes just blank postcards. But I don't need closure anymore, because I have something better. Peace. And the one thing she never counted on. The truth. A year later, I moved to a new city, not to run, but to reset. Somewhere with quieter nights and slower mornings. I rented a small house with a garden, bought a dog I named Patch because he had one eye and zero manners, and started sleeping like I hadn't in years. Every so often, someone would recognize me. Hey, you're that guy from the podcast, right? The one with the fiancé? What's her name? Vanessa? They always whispered her name, like it might summon her. I'd smile politely and say, "That's me." But the story's not about her. It's about what came after. Because that's the part nobody tells you. Revenge? It's not the end. It's just the door. What matters is what you build on the other side. I started journaling again. Writing helped me clear the noise. At first, it was just for me. Notes, reflections, lessons. But one night, I posted a piece on Medium. The woman who framed me and the hacker who saved my life. It exploded. Messages poured in. People who had been betrayed, framed, gaslit, manipulated. Some had lost jobs, others entire families. They weren't looking for justice. They were looking for hope. So I kept writing, and when I didn't have the words, I let others tell their stories through me. Eventually, it became a book. A publisher reached out, then 2, then 5. It debuted at number 2 on the nonfiction list. I donated the advance to Amir's mentorship program. He cried. I pretended not to. One rainy afternoon, I got a call from my old boss, the one who fired me without asking a single question. He said he wanted to apologize in person. I met him at a cafe near his office. He wore guilt like cologne, ordered a $9 latte he didn't drink. "You were a good man, and I didn't see it," he said. "I hope you can forgive me." I looked at him and said, "I already did, the day you stopped mattering." He nodded, and I left. Vanessa? She still tries to reach me. The letters stopped being angry after the first few months. Then they turned reflective. She wrote about therapy, about regret, about the girl she used to be and the woman prison was forcing her to become. I never responded. Not because I hated her, but because I didn't owe her a second ending. Sometimes, silence is the most honest thing you can offer someone who destroyed you. The most unexpected part? People started asking me for advice, not just on cybersecurity, on healing, on moving forward, on how to trust again. I never pretend to have all the answers, but I always say the same thing. You can't control how people betray you, but you can control what you do next. Some build walls, others build ladders. Me? I used the shovel she handed me to climb out of the grave she dug. That's my story, not the one about revenge, the one about survival. And if you've ever been broken, blamed, abandoned, or betrayed, I hope you find your shovel, and I hope you build something better with it. Because the truth? It doesn't just set you free, it sets everything on fire. And when the ashes clear, you get to decide what rises next.